I'm originally from Pukekohe, 238 Darkside. Alcohol around the whare all the time, abuse every single day. I was the child that used to take off all the time. I think I was 8 or 9 years old and I got put in child death and family. It was the worst experience of my life. I got placed in homes where I was abused. You know, or even in those dark times or struggles, I should have turned to God, but I didn't. And I did that, you know, I started opening up, and it's what I needed, It's what I needed.
Young soldier of God, steady march.
My name's Kimi. I'm originally from Pukekohe, 238 Darkside, South Auckland. So Mum is a hard-working lady, I'll tell you that much. She's a hard-working mother, been through a lot in her life. My father's passed away when I was 11 years old, so it's just my mum at the moment. And she's a beautiful, strong mother anyway, and I'm just grateful that she's there for me, you know. She's my biggest supporter right now. Yeah. So that's like the, you know how you've got the, they say goody good side, and then the sort of dark side where all the family, you know, all the gangs and stuff are. That's our side.
How was it growing up for you?
As a little kid, I remember it being so, you know, how you're just a child, you're enjoying your cousins, you're just doing whatever you want to do because you're children. I just remember a lot of abuse, to be honest, a lot of alcohol around me. But to me, that was normal back then. It was normal. It was normalised back then, you know. That's how I was raised as a child growing up, was just alcohol around the whare all the time, abuse every single day. I was the child that used to take off all the time, not tell my parents where I'm going, just to get away. But I do have some really good memories, you know, just with my cousins and just feeling free and feeling, you know, that I can get out and do what I want to do and not have to be contained to this house of violence, really.
How was school for you growing up?
School, I remember, I was a very troubled kid. It was really hard for me to learn. It was really hard for me to communicate, especially with teachers. I was really closed off, like a shut-off type of child. I think because a lot of stuff that was going on at home, I kind of kept it within myself. So when I would go to school, I was very, I had a lot of anxieties and a lot of, I guess, just times where I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to talk to anyone, apart from my family. My cousins were everything to me, you know. They were always there for me. They were always there to play with me or just hang out, and that's all I needed back then. But school, I don't really have a lot of memories when it comes to school because it was like I wasn't there. You know, like, I wasn't there. I used to wag and bunk all the time and, just do whatever I wanted to do. I just felt like everything at home was making it hard for me to just be myself. And to be able to interact with other children. You know, it's like I started treating children like shit, to be honest, because that's how I was feeling. You know, like projecting all that kind of stuff onto other children.
So growing up, who were your sort of role models, would you say?
I'd say just probably my mother. My mother, definitely. I didn't really have anyone else. In terms of being a positive, good role model, it was only my mother. So because I was such a troubled child, I got taken out from my mum's care. I think I was 8 or 9 years old and I got put in child death and family. It got worse from my childhood to my teenage years, going to high school, and everything just started getting worse. It was the worst experience of my life, honestly. It was the worst experience of my life. I got placed in homes where I was abused. I got placed in homes where I felt uncomfortable. I just used to run away all the time. Every single home I went to, I'd run away from. I've been to over 20 homes, foster homes. That's here in Hamilton, that's here in Christchurch, all over New Zealand. I've been over 20 homes and I just couldn't do it. I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel wanted. And to this day, I'm still fighting, legally through that stuff. So how it worked is they pretty much uplifted me from my mum because she couldn't handle me. My mum was frightened, she was scared, she was worried. The way I treated her, and just, being rebellious, to be honest. So stuff come around, they took me out of my mum's care, explained to me that they're going to place me in a foster home, which is a home with carers that look after you. And they pretty much just took me there and dumped me there. And that's it. That's all there was to it. And if I didn't last at their foster home, they'll put me in another one. And then so on and so on. I was exposed to the street life. I was living on the streets, living on anyone's couches. Actually put myself at risk a lot of times. I engaged in prostitution at the age of 11 years old as a way of trying to survive, I guess. I had nothing. I had no one. I couldn't trust the people I was living with, which was these foster homes. I felt like I could only trust and be safe around the streeties, the people that were there for me. So that's what I engaged in at such a very young age. It's something that I did for probably three years. And at this stage, though, going through all this, my father had passed away. I was about 12.
Still a kid.
I was still a kid, so I was going through all that, and then trying to deal with that as well was just so much to handle. And again, it just added on to more trauma and more grief and loss and more troubles and stuff like that. Oh, very young age. That's before I went to SIF's custody. That's another reason why I went to Child, Youth and Family, because too many times I was arrested. Too many times my mum couldn't find me and she's putting out missing reports. And too many times I would abuse her. And police involvement from a very young age, probably the age of 10 upwards. I ran away from all my foster homes. I was just staying with family, like other family members. And I remember at 17, a social worker came to see me to tell me they were releasing me from their custody. And that was it. I signed the paper and that was it. They were gone. Just, marijuana, alcohol at this point. And it was at the stage when I was 18 years old. So if we go from 17 to 18, I met my oldest kid's father. And I think there was a bit of a turning point for me, in a bit of a more positive direction.
Well, how was that for you? How was having your first child?
I think because I met my oldest kid's father, and I think for me is that he gave me this, security. He made me feel safe. I fell pregnant with our first child, and still at this point, I think I didn't know how to be a mother because I was still, I felt like I was still growing up and living all the stuff that I was living before, and I was quite frightened. I didn't know how to be a mother. But I think in a way it turned around in a positive because it gave me that focus, that focus to look at, a newborn, a gift coming into this world. And, just putting me in that direction. So we were together for about, 4 or 5 years. Everything was good. We had 2 children together. I then split up with him, come back to Hamilton, and that's where it all changed again. I started smoking meth, started getting into it really bad. I was actually addicted, hanging around, with people that did it, or, that was the life then for me after that. It was just meth. I think for me at the time it was the breakup with my kid's father. It was me still, grieving and dealing with a lot of trauma that I hadn't actually dealt with or even offloaded. It was like suppressed in me. And I think for me smoking meth was like a way of trying to deal with it. I've always believed in the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. I've always believed in Jesus Christ. My mother is a big believer, and I think for me, throughout my whole entire life, what was hard is that I had my mum who was this big believer, and then I had my dad, which was a total opposite, altogether. And for me, it was like one foot in, 1 foot out, and kind of just turning away and going with the way I was feeling. And I just felt really dark, to be honest. I felt lost and dark and just...
We went through a lot.
Yeah.
We went through heaps.
And I can honestly say that I should have turned to God back then, but I didn't. I didn't back then. Even when I felt alone, or even in those dark times or struggles, I should have turned to God, but I didn't. And that's something that I know. That's something that my mum, she brought me up in the church for many years. And until this day, she's still going hard, And, yeah, so definitely I do believe in Jesus. So the first time I stepped foot in prison was 2015, end of 2015. I remember my son was 2 years old. My mum took care of him while I went into prison. And I remember when I first walked in there, I was just like, what the hell am I doing here? It was, I hated it, to be honest. I hated it the first time I ever walked in. I hated it because I didn't know what to expect. I was in a place where I'd never been before. And I guess, knowing that you're in prison and you don't have your children, they're pretty much out there suffering because of the choices you made. So it's something that I was dealing with while I was incarcerated. But that first time, I'll never forget, was horrible, man. It's horrible, especially when they put you in your cell and lock you down for that first time. Auckland Women's, so I went to Whitty, Auckland Women's Prison. I went for a few years, but I did get out on parole. And that was scary as hell, coming back into the community. Because when you're in prison, you're so, isolated. You're in a place where it's such a small, confined community. You've got routine. You get used to getting locked down, unlocked, meals and just everything at a certain time. But coming out was horrible for me. I wasn't ready. And I pretty much stayed out here for not even 6 months, and I got recalled back into prison. Okay, so I went into prison for aggravated robbery, GBH and kidnapping, which is something I'm definitely not proud of. And yeah, that's pretty much why I went in there for a few years. And I think it's something I needed, to be honest, because I wasn't in a good headspace. I was probably at risk to a lot of people. Oh man, I was an angry person. I was lost. I was hurt. I was in pain. I hated the law. Especially the police, and just that was my look. My look at my life then was just, like everyone. That's how I was feeling. Yeah. So when I came out there last time on parole, I went straight back to meth. When I got recalled back in, I thought to myself, man, something needs to change. Something needs to happen here, My poor mother, crying and sick of me going in and out of prison, and just wants me to do better because she knows I can. And so when I went back into prison, I made sure this time that I, engaged in programs, which is what they offer you in there. So I started, engaging in kōwhiritanga and alcohol and drug courses. I started getting qualifications like my tractor license, my mill license, and my fire agent license, and stuff like that. Really taking advantage of opportunities, because that's what we have in the opportunities. It's up to us whether we want to, do it or not. So this time around, I believe I've done something differently. I really thought, I need to make changes, so this is where it's got to start. Also, when I went back in that time, I was pregnant. I was pregnant when I went back in that time, and I think the snapping point for me was that when I was incarcerated pregnant, I had lost my baby while being in there, and I think that was the turning point for me. That's where I woke up, I woke up and started, just thinking, what am I doing? Going through everything I've been going through, and then this. I felt a lot of mumwai and hurt, and I felt a lot of anger, and I started feeling like it was karma, like it was from everything I did wrong. That's how I was feeling. And I think being incarcerated at that time was what I needed, because I didn't want to be out here in the open feeling the way I was feeling. I needed to let it all out. I started doing counselling, grief and loss counselling, trauma counselling, psych counselling, everything. And it was really, really hard for me it was hard to talk to other inmates and interact with inmates knowing that I was going through this, and try and put on a brave face. Every single day when you get unlocked out of your cell, it was hard for me to, smile and act like I'm happy, but inside I'm dying. That's how it felt. And time, like they say, time heals. It took me time to really just get better, I guess. Yeah, and I did that, I started opening up everything I was suppressing throughout my whole entire life. And it's what I needed, It's what I needed. You mean as I was younger, a lot of it was sexual abuse. I've been through sexual abuse. I've been raped at a young age. Sexual abuse was through foster homes. Being raped is from a family member. A family member that Child Youth and Family put me in their care. And that happened to me, and that was really hard to deal with as well. I just felt like, so lost. I was so lost, so angry, didn't trust anyone, had no one. When they took me from my mum, I had absolutely no one. Yeah, so getting out of prison from that time.
When was that?
So I got out on January the 6th, 2021.
That's the last time.
Yes, so this is the longest I've been out of prison, to be honest, which is something I'm really happy with. Since getting out of there, I met my youngest baby's father. At this point, we were still smoking meth before I was pregnant. As soon as we found out I was pregnant, that was it. Gave up. May the 13th, we gave up. 2021. Going on 2 years soon. 2 years clean. Okay, so what I'm known for, so I'm on TikTok. Everyone knows me as Team GG or GG Captain. So I have a platform on there where I like to, I guess, share my journey, share my testimony, my stories, to help others out there, I guess. I know a lot of people will relate, because I know that there's always someone that's going through something worse in life, and I believe if we all just, come together and do this, everything will be much better, much easier in life, without that hate. Because there's a lot of hate in this world, man. Honestly, there's a lot of hate. We just got to come through with that strong light, and just blast them away. But yeah, TikTok, Team GG Captain. How I started on TikTok, I guess I just started flicking through, swiping through and watching people. And I sort of connected with people that were talking about their own journeys. And I thought to myself, geez, I've got a lot to tell, I've been through a lot. I've got a lot that people would probably want to hear or can relate to. So I started doing that, and then bang, away I went. Honestly, people are so lovely, so nice and kind to me on there. They followed me for a very long time now since I've been on TikTok, showed me nothing but love and support. They love to see my content. They love to see me because I'm uplifting them and putting smiles on their faces. They know that I'm straight up and straight to the point, no beating around the Māori bushes. Yeah, I love helping people. That's all it is. I love to help people. And I love to lift people up if they're having a bad day. Oh man, it's looking bright. No, honestly, I've come a long way, guys, since giving up meth. You know, I'm working now. You know, I've got my children back in my care. Um, I'm off. You know, I'm doing really, really well. Doing really well. Absolutely proud of us and how far we've come. And I've also got a DMC platform where I help others, you know, in terms of fitness, weight loss, um, well-being, self-care, self-love, things like that, which is on Facebook. DMC means dedication, motivation, and change. It's another platform I've opened up for people as well. Okay, so this ink that I've got under here is my baby's name, which is Ebony Waikato. That's my baby's name as well as her father's name. Now, the reason why I put it there, you know, of all places of my body is, to me, it's like, it's me saying that she opened up my eyes. You know, she opened up my eyes to be a better person, a better mother. She's a gift. She's a gift. And that's my purpose for the placement. A lot of people ask me, what did you put it there for? You know, they think it's gang related, but it's not. You know, there's a purpose and a reason for things that we do. And yeah, oh, definitely, yeah. My words of encouragement, whānau, is, you know, reach out, ask for help, definitely. You know, there are a lot of agencies out there that are there to help, use their services, take advantage of it, you know. Honestly, just know that you're not alone in this world. We're human beings. You know, we all have bad days, we all have good days. And that we're not perfect. We're not perfect, and that people like myself, you know, and the bro here, you know, we care. We care for humans in general. We got feelings, we have emotions. So, yeah, just know that. Know that, fams, that you're not alone, eh? And, yeah, ask for help.